Pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum.
Hola, this is your Willie, not CM Punk. Welcome to another classic modern film review. The following reviews can be described by three simple words. Batman vs. Superman. The movie we thought we would never see will finally captivate us on the big screen to determine which of these two is the greatest superhero of all time. Civil War and Suicide can suck it. This is the one we're all looking forward to. So for that, I've decided that my next 8 reviews will be based on Superman and Batman all the way until March, until the movie Batman vs. Superman premieres in the theater. So for the classic film reviews, let's begin with the superhero that started them all, Superman. But before I go on, here's a background history of the character. In 1938, comic artists Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel released their first comic issue of Superman during the Great Depression when America was at the brink of war. Superman was the first superhero of all time to come out of the comics, launching a new genre of superheroes with their own unique talents for good. At first, Superman was considered to be a villain with psychic powers to take over the world, but instead the writers went with the route of turning him into a hero from a destroyed alien planet who was sent to planet Earth, where he's adopted by the Kent farmers. There he grows as a man who's indestructible, can jump from big buildings, lift heavy objects, and later fly and use these powers to stop evil, but would hide his identity with the alter ego of Clark Kent. His popularity grew increasingly with the audience because he was the first all-American hero that stood for this country's belief of fighting for justice, truth, and equality for all. He tackled present issues such as the war, racism. You could even say he was used as a propagandist. Through time, he became even more popular with kids that they introduced a Superman show on the radio. Back then, with the radios with the iPhone of today. An animated Superman show was introduced in the 40s. In the 50s, a newer generation was introduced to the Man of Steel in the successful TV show of The Adventures of Superman. But during the mid-60s and 70s, his popularity diminished and seemed like his glory days were now behind him. And that's when an attempt to make a movie was scheduled with director Richard Donner, who has done the Omen trilogy, The Goonies, Lethal Weapon, and helped produce the last X-Men movie. Also including screenplay writer Mario Puzo for his Godfather screenplay, and let's not forget composer John Williams to revive Superman. Or so I have read. Now, keep in mind, to make a superhero movie around the 70s was an impossible task to take seriously. But what history tells us is that the 1978 version of Superman made everyone believe that a man could actually fly. Critics and viewers were pleased with the outcome of the film, breaking box office records that it still holds up as one of, if not, the best Superman film to this date. Surely it's old and has some things that don't hold up very well, but it still holds the charming aspect of it since it first came out that you can't see why not to enjoy it. It follows the comic book story which takes place on planet Krypton. One of their scientists, Jor-El, played by Marlon Brando, warns everyone that the planet is soon to be destroyed by the sun, but nobody believes him. So he decides with his wife to at least save their own son and send him to a planet that is habitable. Now, why do they always end up on Earth? How come every alien that comes to this planet always adapt pretty quickly to our environment? But who cares? He's later found and adopted by the Kent family as Clark Kent. He grows up discovering who he is, becoming the Man of Steel to protect the Earth. He works at the Daily Planet where he meets the woman he loves to rescue, Lois Lane, played by Margaret Kidder, and faces his deadliest foe, Lex Luthor, played by Gene Hackman, in order to stop him from using his missiles to destroy California. Just saying the whole plot of the story is kind of surprising how fluent it went, from telling the life story of Superman from his childhood to his manhood without coming out convoluted and having plot holes all over the place. It's given a balance that you grow to know and feel for these characters. Even younger Clark Kent has enough time to be developed, and also Marlon Brando as Jor-El. Can you believe he was actually paid $4 million plus 60% of the grocery only to show up for 8 minutes? But even then, he was great to give the movie more credibility and make it feel more special. What else can I say that hasn't been told? Christopher Reeves is Superman. He looks the part, he fits the part, he feels the part. He plays perfectly both as Clark Kent, from a clumsy, timid reporter with a heart of gold to a confident, cheerful superhero that is not afraid to show his underwear to the world. Yes, everyone makes fun of the glasses as the worst disguise, but that's why Christopher Reeve was so perfect. It wasn't his glasses that hid his identity, it was his manners, the way he carried himself as a bumbling dork, the way he would talk by stuttering. That's what helped keep his identity safe. And when you look at Superman with a stature of fighting for truth and justice, who's not afraid to face adversities, you would not look at him and say, hey, maybe he is Superman. He did a great job that you can't see anyone else have pulled it off as great as he did back then. Lois Lane is the damsel in distress, but she is a lot of fun. She's nosy but has the appeal for how straightforward she is that it makes her chemistry with Christopher Reeves actually believable. Both of them are riveting and actually romantic. I like the contrast of these alter egos interacting with Lois. In one hand you have Clark being nervous, bumping on things, and Lois being the confident one, while as Superman the roles are switched around, and him being the confident one and Lois being the timid one. The things that hold up still hold up very well, from the romantic flight across the city to the soundtrack score by John Williams that, oh, it still gives me goosebumps every time I hear it, to the impressive special effects that made everyone believe that he could actually fly, to the beautiful design of planet Krypton. I didn't realize just how good that place still holds up. It almost gave it a feel of Metropolis, including its epic destruction that almost made it seem like Dante's Inferno. Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor was okay. As much as entertainingly fun they made him, he's really not interesting, outside of being one of the only humans with no powers that uses an intellect to defy Superman, who can just smash him with a finger. Granted, it has a few problems and some goofy moments that at times they make it look too campy, like the rescue montage after his big introduction. One or two special effects don't hold up that strongly. And if I may be a little picky, the costume also seems old-fashioned now, mostly because of the outwore underwear. Here's a fun fact. The creators of Superman added the underwear to represent strength because that's what strong circus men used to wear, and that tradition was passed down to every superhero by that time. But now it has lost its touch and diminished it to look ridiculous. Nowadays, heroes are drawn as muscle-toned, almost bodybuilders to reflect on their strength. But if there's one thing that this movie has that doesn't hold up anymore, is none other than the Earth spinning backwards. And I can't talk about this without giving spoiler alerts. There was a scene where they actually kill Lois Lane, and it was the most intense scene in the movie, but they ruin it by making Superman doing circles around the Earth as fast as he can, which makes the Earth go backwards, making time go backwards so he can save Lois Lane from dying. This scene doesn't work from a scientific standpoint because if the Earth span backwards, people would be falling, and it doesn't work from a storytelling because this was a very emotional scene. Killing Lois Lane after setting up the romance would have added a tragic but dark element to the story that it would have been interesting to see how Superman would move on as the story progressed, instead of cheating their way out. Maybe they were afraid to kill her off because probably the audience at that time were not ready for a big blow like this to end in a sad note. So I can understand why it didn't go all the way, but the Earth spinning backwards, it's very distracting now. So, does it ruin the entire movie? Absolutely not. Despite its flaws and campy moments, it is still a good movie that captures the soul of the character and the story arc. It's no longer popular to like Superman because he's just too powerful, he can do whatever he wants without sweating. But looking through his background story, he is kind of cool. This movie represents the American hero that everyone hopes for, the one who stands for truth and justice and helps the needy. And it works because the characters are likable and seem very real. It's bright and colorful, and again, there are just so many things to enjoy from this movie. From Christopher Reeves as Superman, the special effects, the romance, the music, the sets. It manages to balance the tone of the movie from being serious and to have comedy at times. If anything, all superhero movies that have come out and became successful creating an empire owe it all to this film. It proved that heroes with costumes can not only be good, but can be done extraordinary. Superman was the first comic book hero, and ironically, this is the first film to have brought the awesome franchise of comic book movies we now enjoy every summer. So up, and away! And that's that. Those were my thoughts on Superman the movie. You can comment down below and say, what were your thoughts about the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Why or why not? Well, tune in next time for more Batman or Superman reviews. So for now, that's it for today. Ciao.